1, 2, 3, let's go.
Wednesday afternoon, hoping you will tune into our show. It's hosted by Cuz.
But in reality, if Bill really was a good mate, and I know exactly what you mean. Once we've said something, we can't take those words back.
Yeah, you can't.
And as you say, we're not going to be in control of how the person listening to us, how they may deal with that. But this is why it's a very interesting question, isn't it? Just how good are we, or would we be, at keeping secrets? I mean, if another one you might say is if a good friend of yours, this time, let's say Ben comes to see you, before he finds out what Bill's doing, and he says, "Look, Em, I'm really pleased to see you." He said, "I just a bit uptight at the moment because I've got into a habit. I got a bit hard up a few months ago, and I got into the habit of doing a bit of shoplifting. Now I try and keep it sort of under £100 a week or something, but I just can't stop myself, and I'm a bit concerned. But on the other hand, it's making my finances a bit better with my wife there. She seems very happy these days. What he doesn't know is his wife is seeing Bill, of course, but that's just another matter. But if he comes to you and says, this is what's happened, I've got into a habit of shoplifting, and we hear a lot about shoplifting nowadays, don't we? Is that something you would say to him, for example, look, you're telling me that, I really ought to report you, but in reality, would you do that? Or you can say to him, I think you should go and report yourself, but how many people are going to go and admit they've just driven through a red traffic light or whatever? So again, what would your response to that be? Would you keep that secret? You're not really answering my question here. You see, you're sort of piling it all back on the poor person with the secret they're unburdening themselves from, and you're just saying, don't want to know, go and sort it out yourself. And that may be the best response, but is that really your reply to that?
All right, so there's two scenarios here, right? So the first one involves hurting a friend. It might not even be a friend, but hurting somebody emotionally. We know it's not physical. No, I know. And if you have to draw a line between morality and lawfulness, on the part of lawfulness, it probably okay. But on morality, it will be wrong, right? Okay, now, so that's one scenario that you've posted. And now you've posed another scenario where somebody's done shoplifting, right? And they've come to me for whatever reason that to say, listen, I've been shoplifting. It's been making it easy on my finances, but I'm starting to feel guilty about it. Right, so that's just two scenarios, aren't there? So now the way that I would approach these scenarios would differ. On the first one, I would actually approach it the way that I said I would approach it. Now on the second scenario, I think I'll be more lenient. I'll be more lenient on the guy. I'll say to him, well, how do you feel? They say, oh, I feel rubbish about it. And I'll say, well, you do what's best for you. But whatever you do, desist from what you're doing. Whatever you do, however you choose to move forward, try not to do it again. Because if you did it again, then you're not truly remorseful, are you? So that's how I would approach it. So I wouldn't go to Tesco's, for instance, and go, I know who's been nicking your bickies, He's a good friend of mine. No, I wouldn't do that. And I wouldn't say to him, I would definitely not say to him, go to Tesco and
1, 2, 3, let's go.
Wednesday afternoon, hoping you will tune into our show. It's hosted by Cuz. He'll introduce the gang who'll make the show go.
Do that. And I wouldn't say to him, I would definitely not say to him, go to Tesco and go and tell them that you've been. So one to me, is it still borders on morality, because it shows how consensual this person is to, or how his conscience works when it comes to stealing. But then I would, in order to help this person, I would want to know what the root cause is. Is it drugs?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I would want to know. I would say, are you gambling? Because before a man would go to that extreme to try and solve a more or less an everyday problem, there's something else involved. You know, because there are food banks. There's food banks.
Yeah.
And you got friends like me that you can talk to and say, listen, I'm struggling. And I would say, well, you know, what's happened with the job? Have you got a job? What's happening with your job? What's happening with, you know, your finances? Is your wife gambling? Are you gambling? Is your wife taking drugs? Are you taking drugs? You know, 9 out of 10.
Yeah, but you know,
you
know, as Ben, you know his wife's having an affair, so you know she's not really on the drugs, don't you? And it could be he's got Hardup because he also is having an affair with somebody else. This is getting a bit silly, but I take your point. I think what it shows is that keeping a secret can be very difficult, because in the first scenario there, if you are really best friends with both of the guys, and you say to him, go and confess your sins, etc., and he doesn't, then you're still going to be dealing with the innocent guy, if you like, whose wife is having the affair, and you're going to know what's going on behind his back, and he thinks everything's hunky-dory. So that kind of brings a different dynamic. But I suppose it's a comment on human relationships, and something, thankfully, we're probably not placed into that situation too often. Okay, the next question. Is it moral, in your opinion, to allow individuals to end their own life when dealing with terminal illness?
That was on the news recently, wasn't it? No, not on the news, actually. I watched it on BBC Panorama last night.
All right, I didn't see that.
Yeah, it was last night, actually. So it was on BBC Panorama, and I sat there watching it and trying to make my arguments for myself personally.
1, 2, 3, let's go.
Wednesday afternoon, hoping you will tune into our show. It's hosted by Cuz. He'll introduce the gang who'll make the show go with a bang.